In a previous video, I took a pair of cheap PC speakers and I turned them into a makeshift guitar amp. And it sounded okay. It certainly wasn't going to win any awards. But then I got a comment from Francois, the photon mechanic, who said, hey, why don't you feed the left channel output back into the right channel? And at that moment, I realized that stereo speakers are basically two amplifiers. That's one amplifier, and that's a second amplifier. And because of that, that means I should be able to cascade them, just like I've done for these battery-powered amps so many times before. So if that's one amp and that's a second, normally these run in parallel. They're producing a left and a right channel. That creates stereo output. But what happens if the first amp feeds the input of the second amp instead? So to modify these amps, I'm going to have to break open the external case, and that's going to expose the speaker and the circuit board. And in the second speaker enclosure, that will expose the second speaker and the AC adapter. During that process of tearing things apart, I made sure to take a couple of photographs and keep a couple of handwritten notes, making sure I knew what wire went to where. This was going to make the rewiring process a lot easier later on. So the idea with the circuit, I identified the input for the left and right channels, and then I identified where the power comes in and where the speaker outputs go. And the main modification I knew I was going to need to do was to remove the volume pot and switch, because I was going to have to replace that with two individual volume knobs, one for the left and one for the right, and also replace the power switch. So after all of the rewiring, the way I have this set up is the guitar is going into the left channel, and the output of that is being sent to a potentiometer, and the output from that potentiometer is getting sent to the right amp. And I've basically got everything all the way up. There's a volume for the left channel, there's a volume pot that's padding the signal down, and there's a volume in the right channel. I turned all three of them all the way up, and the output sounds something like this. Now in cascading amps, one thing that I like to do is actually run both speakers. So I've got the input of the guitar coming in here, and it's going into the left channel. This is the left channel volume. So that is coming around and coming out of this speaker. That speaker, I have this volume knob going from the positive to the negative lead, and the wiper is somewhere in between. This doesn't seem to do too much, but I'm going to use that to throttle the signal going back into the right channel, which is controlled by this volume knob, and that output is going to come through this speaker. That's what we were hearing in that other demonstration. Okay. In my opinion, when you run them this way, when you just take the input directly off the speaker, it allows a little bit of that more clean signal to come through. So you get the attack and the note separation. second channel, so now you're just hearing this one in the front. It's pretty quiet, but when you use this second channel that's being totally overdriven, that's where you get a lot of this extra flavor coming in. And it's like you can tailor the overdrive. I just like turning everything all the way up. Now, since I've got the speakers just laying out in the open, the volume suffers a little bit. There's not as much low end, but I can solve that by using some external speaker outputs like I've done before. So to be honest, I really didn't expect this amp to sound that good. This absolutely deserves to be put into an enclosure. I will probably build up a miniature 212 stack kind of speaker with a head on top. It'll look pretty cool. It'll look similar to my mini stack that I've got back there. Anyway, let me know what you think, and by all means, have fun and play around with some junk on your own. All right? I'll catch you guys next time.